Hello folks, Cyberpunk background is back. Whose missus asked for that, by the way? Glad I could do that for you. If you like what I do, the subscribe button is down below, the Patreon button is also down below. If you want to help out the channel, our next prize draw is on the 3rd of September, and it is for £100 of free models from Composite Games and a Repulsor battle tank. That will be this coming 3rd of September, Sunday the 3rd of September. We'll be on there having some fun, and yeah, it is a really cool prize draw. To thank you from me to you for supporting the channel. You've got to be on Patreon, or you can be a member of the channel. Either of those two things you can do to become a member of the channel and to make sure you're supporting the channel financially. It means a lot to me, which is why I try and do this for you. If you're going to get any models, please make sure you go and support Composite Games, because they do a lot to help the channel out. Use the promo code Northern Exile down below to get yourself 5% off of their stock at checkout. So, let's get into some Hobby Nightmares, shall we? Friday is always going to be... I am going to migrate it to being Hobby Talk eventually. Okay? Eventually it will be. But for now, I'm taking the Hobby Nightmares that are slightly more... not away from the hobby, but the hobby is peripheral to them. I'm doing them on a Friday. There are a few nightmares today that are very much hobby focused. I'm bookending the session with that, so there'll be... our first Hobby Nightmare will be almost entirely about what's going on in the hobby. And the last Hobby Nightmare will be almost entirely about the hobby. And the two in the middle, they've got hobby in them quite a lot, but it's also about personal stuff. So, that's what we're going to be doing on Fridays for the next couple of weeks until we get down to our new format and the format starts changing with me. So, please send me in your Hobby Nightmares. I've got lots of things to read, but if you want it read towards the end of next week, now is the time to send me some Hobby Nightmares, because I'm getting to the bottom of my mailbag again. Kind of. We're getting there, though. Anyway, Dangle Derek says, "Hey North." Hello Derek, how are you? "I wanted to go over an experience that I had at my friendly local game store just last week. I don't want this to become a tome of a story, so here are some things about me." Oh, and he's listed stuff. I like this. Yeah, if you think your story is going to be too long, feel free to just list stuff like 1, 2, 3, and 4 to get the background out of the way, then we can get into the actual story. So, number 1. I am in a good job as a restaurant manager. I run several places now. It's sweet as a gig and I love it. I started bussing tables and worked my way up over 10 years. I value hard work, like a lot, but it was a slog for me to get where I am compared to others who were hired ahead of me. Mainly the fact that I was male and white seemed to go against me in this regard. They simply didn't want that kind of look in the front of the house. Eventually, they gave up on hiring these people and gave me a job. Okay. Alrighty. 2. I believe in a meritocracy. If you're the best person for the job, you should get it regardless of who or what you are, besides people who have a serious criminal past. Number 3. I'm 35, I love metal music and Black Templars, and I apologise for neither. The boys in black have gotten me through some seriously hard times, and their uncompromising attitude and drive have been a rock to me. Number 4. The store we are looking at today has several regulars. I am one of them. It's a successful store on the west coast of the US. The subject of this video is a young woman in her 20s by the name of Jane. We don't do politics in the store. I've voted both Democrat and Republican over the years, but never ever bring this into the store. Jane does though. She is always making jokes at men's expense, and generally gets away with it because we see it as harmless. There are awkward stares as she speaks about men being generally useless and things like that, in a store full of men, in a hobby created for and run by men, successfully I might add. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The lack of self-awareness is amazing. You're in a store surrounded by men in a hobby created by men, catered to men, for men, by men, that allow you to be there. And yet you seem to want to have a go at men. Okay. Last week, she was speaking over a kill team table to Mike, another regular, and telling him how hard it is just to walk down the street and be looked at, to have men in the hobby keep asking her if she needs help, and I kind of snapped. I walked over and told her that the world doesn't care about men, and that she has no idea how it feels to be in a job or a place where people literally don't give a shit about you. You go under the radar. You're just another guy, another body. I've seen it happen countless times. Women get more chances to fuck up in work than men do. I've seen dudes hired for getting something... I've seen dudes fired for getting something wrong in a busy service industry then a woman gets just reprimanded for several times for doing exactly the same thing before eventually being let go. People ask women if they are okay, if they need help. Nobody gives a damn about men. I said if she felt for 1 second the loneliness, isolation, and utter hopelessness of being a man at times in 2023, she would throw all of that back and go back to being a woman in a second, no doubt. Wow. Wow. That is a takedown. You can tell it when my voice starts going, oh my god, that's a takedown. She started crying. Yeah, waterworks. I packed up my hobby stuff, already getting evil glances from the white knights of the store, already proving me right by heading over to her and putting an arm around her. I walked out with a friend of mine and we went for a beer, became quite jolly and talked the night away. I've been with women, had multiple relationships, but I am not sure I am for this market, and now it's starting to affect my hobby, dude. Thanks, Derek. Alright. So yeah, I'm really sorry that happened to you, or that you felt the need to go over there and say that to her. This is not an and everybody clapped story, because you're kind of ostracized in that store now, especially in California. You're going to find it quite hard to go back to that store after what you said. I'm telling you now. So I went and watched Barbie last night. Yeah. Here's things I think that people won't really. It's a segue, but here's the thing. The first 3/4 of that movie, I thought, you know what? For all the bad press this is getting by dudes, this is really good. This is really, really good. I'm really enjoying this. This is good. This is great. Ken's the best part of the movie, ironically. But, it's great. I'm loving it, right? And my missus was next to me. Ryan Gosling has his shirt off for most of it. She was loving it. She was like, this is great. And we're sitting there, enjoying it. And then 3/4 of the way through the movie, it becomes this man-hating romp of just complaining and admonishing men, raging against men, and making fun of them at every single opportunity. To the point that the dudes who are enjoying the movie are kind of looking at each other. A few of the women around us are giggling, but most of the women around there are also looking at each other like, what? Why are they being so, nasty? Why are they being nasty to the dudes? And I was really proud of the girl I'm dating, because we got in the car on the way home, and I was driving home, and she was just ranting about that part of the movie, about how that wasn't fair. It was just a complete takedown of dudes. And then she brought up the fact that, the studios that are making that movie are mostly founded by men, and without men, that movie wouldn't have happened. And I was just so proud of her. Just listening to her talk about it, I was like, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. It's great. It's a meritocracy. And you know what? We should have movies like that my daughter can go and see. Because the first 3/4 were just excellent messages. They were saying things like, as a woman, you can go and be whatever you want to be. You can be an astronaut, you can be a doctor, whatever. It's fine. You go do you. And that's a great thing to say to people. It's awesome. What we don't need is men are stupid, right? Men are ridiculous. Men are wrong. We don't need men. Yes, you do, love. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because the one thing that I've seen about the men going their own way movement has been miserable women. And women panicking a lot, right? Single women panicking. Going, where are the men going? They're going away. They're going away because they don't find you attractive anymore. When I go out with a woman, I want to be with the woman. I don't want to be with another man. If I wanted conflict, I'd go out with the boys and discuss politics. I don't. So, there you go, right? And what you came across here is the atypical response to a woman who has no more arguments left. Starts crying, turns on the waterworks. Because it becomes about emotion. I say this all the time, right? We're based in logic, they're based in emotion, for the most part. There are some emotional men out there, and there are some logical women out there, but for the most part, we're based in logic, they're based on emotion. right? A woman will say, oh my god, it's sunny, we should go out. A man will say, oh my god, it's sunny, I want to play video games, on goes the AC. We're logical, right? Their emotions tell them, we should go out and just have some fun in the sun and be so nice. And yeah, we're not emotional. We go, no, I want to play Baldur's Gate 3. So I'm going to do that. I don't give a shit what it looks like outside. The AC is going on, and I'm playing Baldur's Gate. Goodbye. Right? That's logic. And both of them are equally toxic, by the way. Right? Both of those views are equally... they're not toxic to anyone else, but they're toxic to you as a person. Because as a dude, you should get out there from time to time and get some vitamin D. As a woman, you should be able to say from time to time, make your own decision and go, you know what? I don't want to go out in the sun. Fuck that shit. I want to sit here and eat my Twizzlers, or whatever it is. I want to just be, you know. So yeah, dude, it's shit for everybody, Derek. It is shit for everybody. But I do agree with what you're saying. Nobody gives a shit about men. No one. Right? That is the thing that has crystallized what I really want women to feel that for a year. Because I swear to God, if I could live as a woman for a year, and they live as men for a year, a load of problems will be solved there and then. I'm telling you now. The empathy would be through the roof. Because men would be like, actually, it doesn't feel very good to get objectified all the time. That doesn't feel very good at all. I don't like that. You know? And then women go, actually, it's not very nice to have the world not give a shit about you. And actually will you to die. Oh, yeah. Yeah, imagine that. Imagine the entire world willing you to die. To not be here anymore. That's what we've had for 10, 15 years now, with the rise of the third wave feminist movement. That's what we've had. Right? Advertisements, everything like that telling us, we don't need you anymore. We don't need men anymore. Being a man's toxic. Alright. And then we leave, and now we're starting to see it turn around again. If you see the discourse online, we're starting to see it turn around again. I follow this stuff, right? We're starting to see it like, oh, we need to go back for men. We need to go and make sure men are okay. What, after 10 years of telling us to go and kill ourselves? Thanks. Cheers. Right. Go fuck yourself. Moving on. Empathy wins. That's what we should have for other people. Empathy. Right? Moving on. Bloodraven says, hi North. Bloodraven93 here. Hope you're well. Cheers, man. I've been contemplating whether to send this in to you or not, but ultimately decided to get it off my chest. Okay, well, that's what Fridays are for. That's what Fridays are for. Let me just go into my... Because I swear to God, you sent a thing to me. Oh yeah, here it is. Cool, that's a cool battle tank. I'm going to save that and put it on the... Not on the thumbnail, but I'm going to save that and put it behind so people have something to look at. It is quite a nice... There we go. That's quite a nice battle tank. Anyway. Moving on. I won't lie, this is a sad story. In memory of a hobby friend, and in some ways a mentor who I knew since I first started Warhammer. I started Warhammer when I was 14, and about a year into the hobby, I met a guy called Dave. Dave was about 30 when we first met, and he was one of the veteran players, and had a 5,000 point Bloodravens army that was his pride and joy. Back during the glory days of my local GW, 4th edition to 6th edition, that is so interesting that so many stores had their top years around 4th edition to 6th edition. That's so interesting. Did you guys get that phenomenon as well? Or is it just me? I don't know. There was a weird idea among the younger players, including myself, that playing against and beating the manager meant that you were ready to face the veteran players. Most of the veteran players were very cocky about their armies and skill, and had no issue playing against less experienced new players. Dave, on the other hand, encouraged newer players to play against each other and staff members, and in order for them to know their army as best as possible, and would give them advice to the younger players who wanted to face him and what to take to beat him. Not because he wanted them to build an army that he wanted, but because he wanted them to have the best chance at success. Okay. When I once asked him to play my poorly painted Khorne Berserkers against his Bloodravens, he said, and I quote, "You should get to know your army a bit first. You've got a lot of berserkers, which are very scary in combat, but you don't have a lot of ranged weapons. And my army relies a lot on plasma and las weapons to boost and protect everything. I'd suggest getting a Land Raider and Obliterators so you can keep the berserkers safe until it's time for the carnage. That's good advice. That is good advice. And by the way, as a hobby store manager, get yourself a Dave. Not the other Daves we talked about, this kind of a Dave. Because that guy's selling models for you. He's saying, oh, no, you want to get a Land Raider and some Obliterators. Thank you very much. You just made me £100. Thank you very much, Dave. £100 in my till. Outside of the hobby, Dave was one of the most intelligent people I've ever known. He knew how to read ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, he knew Latin as a second language, and introduced me to philosophy. He first introduced me to philosophy when I was about 16ish, back when I was going through my nihilist, edgy, angry for angry's sake phase. Yeah, everyone's done that, man, don't worry about it. Around this time, he had become a close friend of myself and my mother. Growing up in a household without a father, Dave very much became a male figure to look up to. Before anybody asks, no, Dave and my mother never hooked up. That's where my mind was going. That's where my mind was going. As Dave was gay and in a happy civil partnership. Oh, okay, right. Cool, he's just a cool guy then. Fine. And that's where my mind went, though. I was like, yeah, there's an ulterior motive here. Is your mum hot? Anyway. Don't get me wrong, there are good guys out there, but, you know, most guys, yeah, there's an ulterior motive. One day, when I went to my local GW, I asked Dave if we could arrange a 3,000 point 40k game. Like me, Dave very much preferred larger games, because it took us both over an hour to get to the store, and we didn't like travelling too long for such a short game. Dave agreed, and said he'd use his Blood Ravens. When I got back home, I eagerly prepared my Khorne Berserker army. 3 squads of 10 Berserkos and 10 Berserkos. What's going wrong with my brain? Three squads of 10 Berserkers in Rhinos, Kharn the Betrayer with a squad of Chaos Chosen in a Land Raider, a Chaos Demon Prince of Khorne, 1 Chaos Dreadnought, 2 squads of 3 Obliterators, 2 squads of 20 Lesser Demons, and 1 Greater Demon. I remembered that Dave looked a little under the weather the last time I saw him, so I texted him to make sure he was still okay for our game, which he replied positively. The next day, me and Dave had our battle. All the while, he is coughing up a lot throughout. Another kid came to our table and saw his Blood Ravens absolutely decimating my Berserkers, and excitedly said he and the other veteran, we'll call Mark, should have a game. Mark was another one of the good veterans of the hobby, and was a Dark Eldar player who no one had ever beaten. The thought of 2 players no one could ever beat, but everyone liked fighting, excited a lot of the younger players, and Dave agreed. He set up a 2,000 point game with Mark. Right, so Dave and Mark are going to play, that's cool. I in the end lost. Pretty badly, but I didn't mind. Dave and I then went to grab some food, and he then went into another coughing fit, and he just couldn't stop. I offered him my water, and when the coughing calmed, I asked him if he was sure he was alright. Then he told me the news. Listen, don't tell your mum, but I have a heart condition. It's quite serious, and it's been ongoing for a while. I'm going to have to go and see I'm going to have a heart transplant. Me and Dave hugged, and I tried to reassure him, as best as a teenager can, that he'd be alright. Dude, that for a 16-year-old to do that, you have got some chops, my friend. To comfort a man and say you're going to be alright. You have got some spine. That's a cool kid. That's a well brought up kid. About 2 weeks later, I was in the local GW painting some models, with Mark the Dark Eldar player sitting across from me, giving advice on shading. When I saw Dave's partner wheeling Dave in a wheelchair into the store, my heart sank a little. Dave's partner kissed him on the forehead and said he'd be at the coffee shop across from the store if he needed anything. Even though Dave's heart transplant was the very next day, and he'd gotten worse, he still came into the store to have a game with Mark, because he didn't want to let the kids down. Dude. Fuck me. What a guy. Oh, mate. What a guy. Dude. I can't well up twice in 2 weeks, man. I can't. You need to stop with this. I can't do this twice in 2 weeks. Give myself a sec. Fuck my life, dude. It's always the good ones, isn't it? It's always the good ones who are bumped off. Really is. Fucking infuriates me, man. When he got to the table, Mark asked if he was sure he was well enough. To which Dave just responded with, "I'm never too ill to crush Xenos." Dude, like I'm. You know, there are some hobby nightmares that really do reinvigorate your love for the hobby and the people in it. This is one of those times. In the end, it was a close battle, but Dave won by 2 kill points. The next morning, I sent Dave a message wishing him luck with his operation, and he texted me back thanking me, and that he hoped to see me soon. Dave never came out of the operating room. Yeah, we knew that was coming, because of what you said earlier. Not a day goes by that I don't miss Dave. He played a huge part in my youth. He's not only started my interest in academic studies and philosophy, but taught me a lot about painting. I've attached some photos of my old, half-built Berserkers and recent Blood Ravens model. I hope he would be proud of how far I've come in life, and in how far my painting has come thanks to his advice. Rest in peace, Dave. You're an absolute diamond. All the best, North. So here is the Blood Ravens model. For those of you wanting to see it. There we go. That is a well-painted model. I'm going to leave that up for the rest of the session. That's a really well-painted model. I love that. Good edge highlighting. Fantastic. Absolutely lovely. Right. Moving on before I become a puddle of tears. Luca says... Okay. So Luca says, I've been going through quite a lot... Oh, hang on a minute. I think there's a first bit to this story. It starts with, I've been going through quite a lot, and then cuts off. Let me look at this. Ah, here we go. Bang. Alright. Hey, North. My name's Tusk. Alright, we'll do Tusk then. We'll do Tusk. My name's Tusk. I've had some struggles in my life lately and wanted to talk about how the hobby saved me in a major way. Earlier last year, I was sent abroad to France for a research trip. I didn't have much choice as to where they sent me. Originally, I wanted to go to Ireland, but when I got there, I found that most of my compatriots had already gotten their undergraduate degree, or were about to get it, whereas I was starting my 3rd year. The combination of being alone in a new country, surrounded by other shy, sciencey folks like myself, combined with French people who weren't always kind to tourists or students like myself, made it really, really tough on my mental health. Yeah, Frenchies are like that. I very rarely say that, but Frenchies are fucking rude. For the most part. If you go over there and you don't speak French, they'll be like, ugh. They just don't want to speak to you. Right? It's what it is. And even if you do speak French, they'll go, that's not how you say it. Oh, fuck off, you. Twat face. Anyway. I've been to a Greek restaurant. Right? So I can't speak ancient Greek, but I can loosely talk a few, hold a weird pseudo conversation in ancient Greek, right? And I've ordered food in ancient Greek just to see if it passed the test of modern Greek. And to them, it's kind of like you're speaking in ye olde English, right? But they still they really got a kick out of it. They were like, oh my god, and they were really happy. Yeah. The Frenchies are the only ones, the fucking frogs are the only ones to be really rude and think that their language is the utmost thing. This is why anything French, I'm immediately suspicious of. I'm just like, nah. Do you want to go eat at this French restaurant? No. Not really. Not really. But they're the best gastro people in the world. Then they don't need the rest of us to eat it then, do they? They can eat it themselves. They don't, it's fine. Give me an Italian, please, and an Italian waitress. Job done. Don't need a French waitress when she doesn't shave her armpits. Ooh. I'm joking. I'm joking. Fucking hell, I'm joking. I had 2 friends. They were both girls I had known since high school, whom I thought I could count on to be there for me, plus a long-time girlfriend. As this trip progresses, I find out that my girlfriend has been lying to me about aspects of herself, and I break up with her, which is a really rough thing to do. On top of that, my friends hadn't really been all that reliable, taking days to respond to my messages, let alone ever talking to me over calls and such. It's worth noting the living conditions I was in. I was in one tiny man room, utterly gloomy, with a tiny fridge and a barely working hot plate. Thank God I wasn't in one of the multi-rooms, as all of them were the same size. The hot water in the showers really worked, and the shower head was at mid-chest level. I'm 5'4" for reference there. I also have an eating disorder that makes it really difficult for me to eat most things. And, on top of that, the cafeteria, not saying that they were making combined with a usually 2 plush line wait to see what they were serving, made me depend on overpriced fast food. All of these things combined into being extremely deleterious? Look at you getting your thesaurus out. Deleterious to my mental health. As in mid-October, I tried to remove myself from the world. Well, we don't want that. We really don't want that. I tried reaching out to as many people as I could beforehand, and nobody replied. Thankfully, someone did eventually reach out to me and walk me back from the edge. But that was really the last straw for me, and I descended into despair. My classes were utterly brutal, with any time not spent eating or in class, studying or programming. With few Americans here, with me it was tough to find enough common ground with people who could barely speak English. If at all though, that wasn't their fault. Winter break rolls around and somehow, miraculously, I pass all my classes and finish my research project successfully. But I'm spent, and my family surprises me with the fact that we aren't actually going home yet, but are instead spending another 2 weeks in England. This was after my 6-month utterly arduous journey of study. I don't blame them, as I'm usually a private person and don't tend to burden them, but I was so burnt out I spent most of the days in the hotel really getting out of bed. When we finally returned home, I had about 6 days before my next semester started, which was filled with stuff as well. I returned to school, and about a month in I have a serious mental breakdown and return home. My friends, quote unquote, are happy about this. It's mid-February and I start going to therapy. I also return to martial arts, which is something I've always loved. Mate, that is going to be the one thing that really digs you out. Really does dig you out. For a man, if you're struggling in life, please go and try martial arts. Go and try something like that. There aren't many things that faze you in the world once you've been smacked in the face. You're just not scared anymore of anything ever. You're just like, nah, I don't care. You know? Like, well, you know, whatever. Getting smacked in the face, yeah, I don't care. You know, it's... What was I worried about going on stage for? What was I worried about doing a presentation for? This guy's literally trying to pummel my brains in. And I'm doing this voluntarily, right? Yeah. It's such a good thing to get into, dude. Right. Things slowly got better as I spend time with my family and friends and start getting in shape again. I even get a job at a tea shop as a janitor. But then, a true gut punch. 2 of my friends call me and tell me that they are cutting me out of their lives. That I was too much and not a good person. What? Being neurodivergent and having trouble reading other people's emotions, I was utterly floored by this. They told me that I was mean, rude, and utterly aloof person who wasn't there for them, and that I hadn't been fair to them. I'm still not sure what that means, but this sends me back down. I thought I had made so much progress, just to have that torn from me. I am utterly miserable here, and besides something, I had always had a passing interest in 40k, but had never invested in it. Ooh. Ooh, here we go. It's where it gets good. It's where it gets good. Now, just before we go any further, those people said that to you, fair enough. But my God, like, what does it take? How much of a fucking self-absorbed little prat do you need to be to actually call somebody and say, I'm cutting you out of my life because you're bad for me? Especially if you don't really speak to that person. Ugh. Just move on. Just don't speak to them anymore. Move on. Be an adult. Right? Now, if your best friend is acting in a toxic way that you really can't get past, talk to them about it. Warn them. Tell them it's not suitable behaviour. Don't just call up and go, you're bad for my self-esteem and who I am. World doesn't revolve around you, jackass. Get on with it. Anyway, I knew I had to do something to lift my spirits, to indulge in something I had always wanted to try, and 40k was just the thing to do it. I decided to go for it, and searched up armies to start with. I landed on Grey Knights, man of culture. Mwah. Those boys just being so badass and already liking psychers just sweetened the pot for me. Oh, dude, you have no idea. I'm literally rubbing my thighs. What am I doing? That's really creepy. Why did I do that? Stop it. But I still had to go into a shop and buy them. I'm typically pretty shy in new places and interacting with new folks. But I knew what I needed to buy and looked up my nearest Games Workshop. When I drove up and walked in, I was welcomed, and not just by the manager, but by all the people inside too. I was a stranger, and it was like an old friend was visiting, and everybody was happy to see them. What a feeling that was. I asked if they had any Grey Knight stuff. They directed me to a combat patrol and strike squad, which I grabbed. I told them I had no experience building or painting, and the manager told me that he was leading a painting class, but he'd be more than happy to show me how to construct one whilst I followed along. After I had done that, a bunch of folks introduced themselves to me and invited me to join their group. They discussed books and would plan games together on weekends. I was taken aback at just how welcoming and friendly they were. As the weeks passed, they take me in as one of their own. One of us. Just like that old. Painting tips, where to buy models, general tips, protocols on with gaming, how to ask and seek to buy a model. Everybody was just so supportive. I end up finishing my army and playing my first game against Thousand Suns. I end up losing terribly, but I don't even care. It was so much fun, and all the guys told me that I did well for a newbie and what I could improve on. Apparently, my game sense is pretty good. Suffice to say that Warhammer has saved me. I've found a good group of mates to chat and joke around with, not only to game. Well, I think what this is showing you, dude, is that you found your people, right? But also, what this is telling you is, maybe, you told me before that you're neurodivergent, right? Maybe you're finding other people who are either very used to dealing with neurodivergent people or who are neurodivergent themselves. Right? And maybe you've come across a few normies who weren't quite ready to handle you. But the way that they handled dealing with that was abysmal. You don't just leave somebody in the lurch like that, dude. You don't just text them and say, you're a toxic person, bye-bye. You don't do that. Right? You give them a reason. You talk to them. And you give them loads of warnings first. And if they're not for you, just stop talking to them. Let them down gently. Don't just do that to them. That's a horrible thing to do. Anyway, not to mention, listening to your talks about stuff has made me better too. Good lad. I have now gotten a new job, a new girlfriend, and went to a martial arts tournament recently and did quite well. Dude, listen, you are absolutely mulching life. Well done to you. You are beating the shit out of life. Well done. Well done. I've started on my second army, Dark Angels, and I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. If you guys are listening, thank you, and thank you, North, for listening. Dude, I want to applaud. I'm not going to, but I want to. Well done, man. Well done. I'm glad I had some small part in it, but well done to you for turning your life around, dude. I'm glad I had some little bit in it. You know, that's what I'm here for, but this is all you, man. This is all you. You know? You did all the right things. All the right things. You didn't have your people around you, so you went and found your own. You went and found your people. You looked after yourself, you started looking after your body, you went to do martial arts tournaments, you forged, you saw the stone that your body was, and you started chiseling away at it. Like an artist. Because the real you's in there somewhere, and it's coming out now. Dude, you're killing it. Stick at it, stick doing what you're doing. Give us some updates for Hobby Nightmares on a Friday in future. Absolutely fantastic, dude. Love to hear it. Ant says, "Hey North, how's it going, brother? How's it going, man? I've been a bit down on my luck recently." Oh, sorry to hear that. "I lost my job thanks to the business above me going bust. I've lost my girlfriend as the relationship naturally broke down over time, leaving me a sobbing mess." Thanks for being honest, man. "And 10th edition so far was pretty disappointing to me. What is a man with Necrons to do with such ineffectual bits?" That's my favourite meme, that. So much Daka. What can one man do against such flashy bits? Anyway. "At the local store, I'm a known guy and I have fun. In fact, we're all really closely knit as a small store in Washington State. Think ideal fall town. Autumn to you. Yeah, that's us. I've discussed my issues at the store a few times when asked. When a guy was going through a bad breakup, I talked it through with him. Hi, Richie. He watches your videos too." Alright, well, hello, Richie. Anyway, my 30th birthday was coming up earlier this year, and to be honest, I just wanted to be alone. I was going through a hard time, and I didn't really want to be around people, but I'm addicted to playing some 40k. And I wanted to do some on my birthday. I wanted to do that, chill, and head home. I just found out the week earlier that I'd have to put my hobby plans on hold thanks to the loss of the job, which sucked. I had my wish list in the store set up and everything. I'm not a guy with a lot of close friends, but I have a lot of acquaintances that I try to help out in any way that I can. Still, I don't really have a crowd to go out with or do things with outside of the hobby. I walked into the store and a lot of the guys are smiling and getting on with some games on my birthday. No wish of a happy birthday, but that's fine. Not a lot of people knew it was my birthday, so I head over to a guy I know, John, and I asked to play as orcs. "Of course, my dude," he says, and we head to get a table. I start getting my army out, feeling kind of bummed out that my birthday is just another day to other people, but hey, it is what it is, and I kind of kept it quiet on my own fault. John looks at my army that I've got spread out on the table ready to deploy. You're not playing with that army?" he asks. Yeah, I am," I ask, confused. That wasn't a question, dude. You are not playing with that army," he says sternly. Oh shit. I hope this doesn't get worse. I want it to end on a good note. I hope this doesn't go really wrong. "What wasn't a question, dude. You are not playing with that army," he says sternly. Weird. The manager of the store, Jamie, heads back out into the back room with a trash bag and slams it onto the gaming table in front of us. We are lucky there was no scenery on there just yet, and he tells me to look inside like a serial killer wanting to reveal his work to a detective. You got away with words, dude. I like that. I peek inside. The bag is full of pristine, new Necron boxes, still in their plastic, like straight off the shelf. I look up, confused. So, for the last few weeks, the boys have been collecting $5 here and there, sometimes 50 or 20 or 50, to head into the pot for this gift. We gave them our store discount on bulk purchases from GW, and we got you a new army for your birthday. Enjoy it, dude. Jamie says. Oh my god. Oh my god. He walks off back to the cash register as if nothing had happened to help some people. The guys look at me. I start crying. Oh my god. I shit you not. I am not like this normally, but I am crying. I played the game against Orc John and he stomps my brains in, but I didn't care. I looked over what was there and thanked everybody profusely, taking them to the local bar for several tequilas and beers after leaving our hobby stuff in the store lock-up for the night. It ended up being about 4,000 points worth of Necrons. What? Just there for free. That's probably because they got their bulk discount. So if they go in with $700 with a bulk discount, you're getting around like $1,500 to $2,000 worth of stuff. It has made my year, and I have to say, without this hobby, my world would be so much of a darker place. I love everybody in it and beyond. Thanks for giving us a place to air it. Ant. Dude, what a week. What a good end to the week. I love this channel, man. This is great. This is great. And I love you all as well. You're great. I am going to end the video in the 41st minute. This is a mark of respect to this wonderful hobby that we got going on. I love you all a long time. I will speak to you on Monday for some more Hobby Nightmares. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I hope this put you on the path to the weekend in a better mood than when you started it. I'll see you on Monday for some more Hobby Nightmares. Love you all. See you then. Bye.